I said from months ago, I said this, and I'd love to be vindicated. Donald Trump is not in charge of Donald Trump's administration or his campaign or his transition team. In 2016, him and his ego, they carried a lot of weight. They led the group forward. Now he is utterly subservient to the interests of his betters, the most better of which being President Elon Musk, who, as you all know, has been beefing with neo-Nazis on Twitter over H-1B visas. Neo-Nazis think that two things. One, that Elon Musk and other, tech giants like to weaponize H-1B visas as a way of getting employees who are dependent on their being employed for staying in the country, which means they're easy to exploit, which is true. And B, that H-1B visas undermine America because it means that stinky Indian people come in, which destroys the economy and American culture somehow, which is not true. Obviously, the truth of H-1B visas is that, on one hand, it is good to attract top talent from other countries. The fact that our economy is robust enough to be like the shining beacon on the hill that, holds the interest of so many top, people at the top of their field. That is a good thing. It is not good that H-1B visa holders are by their nature more easy to exploit, because obviously the most exploitable worker is in many cases the one that, the capitalists will defer to. It's also kind of a marginal issue. How many, I'm actually, I should have Googled this before. Hold on. How many H-1B visas in America? It's not that many, 65,000. 65,000 highly skilled workers immigrate to America each year and fill specific jobs, and grants another 20,000 visas to such workers who have received an advanced degree in the U.S. I'm not saying it's a small number of people, 65,000 each year. It's not like a minute section of the economy or sector of the economy, especially considering they tend to be in fields that are disproportionately powerful and highly paying. You tend not to be filling out H-1B visa programs for migrant farm workers, but it's just not, it's not that big of a deal. But it's a race war thing. Donald Trump, again, Vice President Donald Trump, who in the past has been extremely critical of H-1B visas as a way of signaling anti-immigrant sentiment, has completely cucked out. And in an exclusive told the New York Post, did not make a public statement on this, but this was released through the New York Post, which is interesting, that he backs Elon Musk, that he has many H-1B visas on his properties, which I fully believe. I've always liked the visas. I've always been in favor of the visas. That's why we have them, Trump said by phone, referring to the H-1B program. The problem with this is that Donald Trump criticized the H-1B visa program multiple times back during his first administration, up to and including, I think it's even mentioned in this article, which is funny because it's the New York Post. Is it not here? It's in one of these, NBC. Yeah, during his first term, the Trump administration implemented rules that would have cut the number of H-1B visas issued each year. The rules, however, were ultimately struck down in court. Donald Trump was anti-H-1B visa because back in 2016, he was a nihilistic megalomaniac who didn't care about anything other than getting the applause from his supporters. He would just say anything. He was up there. He just completely beholden to whatever worked for the applause. And he was having a tremendous amount of fun, being the shark, feasting on the chummy waters of the Republican Party. Nowadays, he is utterly at Elon Musk's beck and call. Seriously, keep in mind, Donald Trump hated Elon Musk. Now he bends the knee to him. Donald Trump, with any other person in any other set of circumstances, would have ousted Elon long ago for being annoying. Now all Donald Trump can do is joke about how Elon is wearing his welcome thin at Mar-a-Lago, but not actually say anything meaningful about it. They're taking family photos together. It's pathetic. And now he's bent the knee yet again, backed off his previous position, which was critical of H-1B visas, which, to be clear, I don't support Donald Trump's previous position of being critical in H-1B visas. The story here is how utterly cucked he is. Donald Trump had, okay, genuine question. Have you heard anything from Donald Trump lately? I know he made a post on Christmas. What has he been doing? He is the next president of the United States. I remember 2016. I remember after Hillary Clinton lost. Donald Trump was crowing. He and his supporters were screaming from the rooftops, from the rafters, nonstop up until Inauguration Day. They would not shut up. Why would they? They were going to be president. Now Donald Trump's going to be president again. How much do you hear from him? You don't hear from J.D. Vance at all anymore. J.D. Vance, he's out. Who cares? No one cares. He's done. Okay? Donald Trump, what is he doing? Nothing. He's putting out Truth Social posts antagonizing Justin Trudeau by saying he wants to make Canada the 51st state. That's not policy. He's just randomly selecting issues to rabble rouse about. He's not even properly campaigning or celebrating his victory. And then, in the midst of this big race war, civil war going on Twitter about H-1B visas, he decides to take a statement on it, one which contradicts a previous position in which he bends the knee to Elon Musk. It's genuinely insane. Like, again, I've said before, mostly jokingly, because it's not like lefties can't be dumbasses too. I've said before that like one of the big issues with doing political analysis from a left perspective is that you're too right too early. So you get all the talking points out of the way back when people are ready to get tired of them. And then by the time they actually happen, everyone's just kind of weary and resigned. That's what I said about the transgenocide bit, where like I was using the term transgenocide, not the only person, mind you, but I was one of the people more loudly using it back when I guess the openly eliminationist intentions of many people on the far right were a little bit more coded, and then they got less coded over time, and now it's just like widely held among a lot of people in the far right, you know, and Trump's incoming administration, that transgenderism must be eradicated from the world, which is fully eliminationist sentiment. You know, I don't think that we would like I don't think that we would like, you know, debate the intention of a statement like Judaism must be eradicated from the world, right? Like, let's not be stupid here. But now that it's obvious and out in the air, it's trite, it's tedious. Oh wow, the Republicans are openly, you know, eliminationist on trans people. What a surprise. That's how I feel about this with Elon and Trump. Trump's new administration, Trump specifically, totally beholden to capital in a way that the US presidency has never been before. The cabinet is just stocked with billionaires. Every single guy who has been picked, every cabinet position is either like at best a lunatic, and at worst like an openly malicious agent of corporate America looking to deregulate and destabilize the institutions that they've been put in control of in order to maximize shareholder profits. Like, it is so straightforward. There's no ambiguity. There's no like, okay, well, you know, maybe you get some edge case on this. It's just straightforward. Like, Donald Trump was a populist vessel, an empty shell being puppeted by the powers that be in order to, you know, well, I guess, increase shareholder profits. Again, it feels trite. I feel trite saying it. This feels very like, I don't know, this, I feel like, you know, heartbreaking man found in woods fighting war that ended 30 years ago, you know. I'm out here talking about how Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney need to be brought up on war crimes or something, you know. It's like these talking points are old, but they're so true, man. They're so correct. And the fact that the lines have been drawn and are more obvious than they ever have been before, that doesn't make like acknowledging them any less important. If anything, it just makes them more important, you know. This is the radicalizing point. And for a lot of far right people, they're going to see this and they're going to say, "Oh, we were lied to." You know, when Donald Trump, you know, nakedly advanced the interests of capital holders, making every single decision in a way that was calculated to maximize the interests of corporate America, we thought he was actually fighting a based epic race war, even though none of it ever even remotely looked like that if you're a sane person. Look, I don't want all these race war fanatics to be radicalized in the direction of like, you know, oh, you know, corporate America isn't authentically white supremacist enough. In reality, we need to like dissolve and go back to like our grassroots Ku Klux Klan, you know, anti-immigrant, anti-such and such sentiment. I'm not saying that's the direction you need to take. Also, you couldn't do the Ku Klux Klan nowadays because like half of the far right are pretending to be Catholic and the KKK was anti-Catholic. But what are you going to do? I'm just saying that like there's no race war, man. There's no real race war. It's not real. It's fake, dude. All across the world, every American city, there are people of different races. They're just living their life. It's the most prosperous country in the world, the United States. And the lines on which along which this country is being robbed, the lines along which people are being deprived, have nothing to do with race, not on like a fundamental level, I don't think. I'm sorry, I don't want to get class reductionist with this. Race has a lot to do with like wealth and equality. But on a fundamental level, if you get down to the driving mechanism, it's not a race war. It's not white and black people fighting over a limited pool of resources, okay? Homelessness is on the rise. Over the past 10 years, all of the world's wealthiest people went from being worth like 5 billion to 500 billion. You know, the wealth of the ultra wealthy is skyrocketing. You know, the economy is not a zero-sum game, but that doesn't mean it's an infinite sum game either. Like when people take wealth, it is taken from somewhere, held in offshore accounts, you know, Panama Papers type shit where it's never getting taxed, never getting re-entered into the economy. It just sits there collecting dust and money. Like every day, the humble white supremacist, you know, they They wake up at 11:42 a.m. charitably. They, get in the shower, maybe. They probably don't brush their teeth. They do their morning goon sesh to like incest, cuckold, race play, whatever the online, or lolly shit or whatever they prefer. And once they're done with all of that, they live they live like so many people, an emaciated, deprived, paltry life in which many of their basic human dignities are strained or broken or removed entirely on account of a society that is being bled dry by the capital class. The capital class, by the way, which is predominantly white. Let's not, play about that here, but it wouldn't matter if they were black. If the capital class was entirely, black or Asian or Hindu or whatever, it wouldn't make a difference, right? Like the mechanisms that are used to deprive, they're present in every country around the world. I feel like I'm talking to the choir. If you watch my videos, you understand. But like even the white supremacist, their day is made worse. All of them, every single day of theirs, due to mechanisms which they are utterly incapable of understanding. These larger systemic failings and the weaponization of these systems against them, which are carried out constantly in ways that they cannot understand because the people who are hurting them have convinced them that in reality, like the real harm is being done by like, I don't know, black people making music videos that encourage white girls to wear shorter skirts or something. I don't know. Have you seen what these people complain about? I don't know. Goy biscuits, airline food. I don't know. They're insane. I don't stream for long enough. I all of the like information that I've collected by dispassionately scrolling through my feed, while I'm trying to relax and take a break. It just kind of like it gets entered into the food processor up here, and it just bleeds out in the few moments I spend right next to a microphone. Yeah, you get me. You get me. Look, let the lesson be, okay? Donald Trump's far-right populist rhetoric is always ultimately beholden to like what makes the most money for the people who allow him to stay in charge. It is nothing like if being white supremacist paid the bills, then he would be white supremacist. But in reality, feigning like, civic nationalist intentions while in reality continuing all of the globalist neoliberal policies that brought ungodly wealth to the upper crust, that's what brings them the money. Like shareholder value is not increased by an ethno-state. How on earth would that even work? It's not the 1930s anymore, okay? Why on earth would any corporation willingly limit themselves in that way? And if you don't like that, then deal with corporate America as it is. So I keep just talking about the Nazis who are like mad at Elon and Donald Trump or whatever. But like, you got fooled again. It fell for it award, number 57, staple that shit to your chest, keep getting it stapled to your entire body until you're just like a walking blob of fell for it awards. You know perfectly well there are going to be people like white supremacists, neo-Nazis who are on the cusp of being radicalized in the correct direction by this, and then they're going to like the like double think churning up here, the attempt to rationalize. It's going to churn and process for a little bit, and they're going to go like, this must be because Elon, the wealthiest man in the world of white South African descent, and Donald Trump, they must be Jewish. It's because they're Jewish, actually, or something like that. And they're going to like miss the boat on understanding how this all works. And they're just going to like expand the bounds of their conspiracy further and further and further and further out. Every single corporation owned, I got to wonder, by the way, do neo-Nazis think the Jews control every corporation like in the world? Because the same basic processes are happening everywhere. Like in India. Do they think Jews control like Indian finance? I gotta like... I gotta hit the Wikipedia on this one or something. I don't know how far the rabbit hole goes. Like, what about Japan? Because a lot of them want to move to Japan and get like a kawaii wife that's untainted by feminism or whatever. Do they think Jews control Japanese finance? I don't understand. Because like the same shit's happening everywhere. The corporate accumulation, the like enriching of a very small number of people at the expense of everyone, the neoliberal policies that enrich corporations at the expense of people, the austerity like all of this is happening everywhere. You even support a lot of it. It's just that they just very selectively blame, like they just say the JQ is responsible for this and that. Okay, for all of it? Have you considered there might be like another systemic explanation for all of this? Perhaps the economic system that we live in, maybe, possibly. No amount of analysis is going to stop mediocre white men from Wee Was Kang's posting online, where, some guy who has skid marks in his tidy whities, is going to be like, well, people with the amount of melanin that I have built Skyscrapers. Yeah, people who sunburn as easily as I do, they dug holes and piled rocks, man. Just generally, you know. Me? Oh yeah, I owe the IRS like 4 years in back taxes because I have a gambling addiction. But like people whose skin tone is the same, more or less, like color hex code as mine, they carved wood into pretty shapes, dude. They invented the atom. Get me out of here.